and so it begins. Grandmaster Bill has always taught us that nothing is ever created, it's only discovered. Such is the case with these fundamental natural laws. These are quite simply the storytellings that we do in our schools, and it's designed to help develop the character of our students. Because quite candidly, martial arts without discipline is just street fighting. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and today we're going to be talking about the fundamental natural laws. It's one of the cornerstones of Stepping Stones to Your Success, and I probably need to start at the beginning and explain to you how this came about. So it begins. Now I need to give a special shout out to Kiyoshi Steve LaValle for encouraging me to stick with this program and see it through to fruition. And also a big thank you to Grandmaster and Mrs. Buell, along with Chairman Nicholas Coquinos, who continue to help us awaken to the world that's all around us. A lot of these fundamental natural laws were stories that were shared with me, along with my own joyful and painful life lessons. Now, I would encourage each of you to develop your own library of fundamental natural laws for you and the people you influence. The continued growth of our students' life skills, character building, and success systems are critical and an important priority for us. These aforementioned objectives have been taught and ingrained in us from our teachers, mentors, and coaches. And I believe it important to continue this tradition to preserve it for our next generation of leaders. This is what makes the martial arts so unique and so special and so different than anything else out there as it relates to developing our future leaders of tomorrow. To this day, I remember as a low-ranking student being invited by Grandmaster Buell to go visit another martial arts organization with some students from our school. Not knowing any better, I stayed in the back and off to the side until Mrs. Buell went up and grabbed me by the arm, took me over to the table where the masters are sitting, and says, "Now shut up, sit here, and listen." The rich world of the martial arts began to open up to me as I listened, watched, and admired these walk-in textbooks of the martial arts who were the masters that were sitting before me. The wisdom within the stories that they shared helped me to form the core values that I hold dear to this day. Now, at this point in time, you may be saying, I don't have any life experiences worth sharing. And to that, I would beg to differ. Now, if you've lived this long on this earth, then I know you got some colorful and exciting experiences to share. You just got to keep them plain. Now, getting back on track. Now, I know the people you influence are eager to know about you. They want to know the how, the when, the where, and the why as it relates to how you've gotten to your level of success thus far. I need you to be an open book, and I need you to share. I would venture to say that each of you as servant leaders have a rich history and experiences to draw from. I would further suggest that you take these fundamental natural laws and plug in your own stories to support these laws. And remember, talk from the heart, tell the truth, and you can never go wrong. I look forward to your progress. Again, have a wonderful evening. All the best to your family, and we'll be back to you real soon. He ran the testing examinations, and after the testing examinations, he got all the heads of schools and chief instructors into a room by ourselves. And he says, "Listen, I know nobody likes surprises, so I just need to let you know up front. I'm going to run this black belt promotions for the people I think that have passed their examination, but I just need to let you know up front, all of your number ones, all your top dogs, I'm not going to promote them, just so you know that." Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and tonight we're going to go into fundamental natural law number 1. It's called "You Never Get in Trouble for Telling the Truth." Let me share a quick story with you. It's called "I Mean No Disrespect." Every year, Grandmaster Buell gets us together and he does the black belt testings. On this particular year, he got a hold of all the heads of schools and chief instructors and says, "As you know, we got black belt testing coming up, but on this year, I want you to also bring me your top dogs. Bring me your number ones, because I want to test them too and see where they're at." So we said, okay. So we only have testing one time a year for adult black belts, and Grandmaster Buell's one who runs that. So I need a good solid 9 to 12 months to get my folks ready for that. Now, as we get them ready for it, I'm explaining to them, says, "Hey, listen, You're getting ready to go down a very challenging part of your life here. We're going to be taxing you mentally. We're going to be testing you physically. We're going to be testing that indomitable spirit as well. Now, I can't go down this test with you. I can't test for you. I'll wait for you on the other side, and I'll welcome you into the black belt ranks with open arms, but this is something you're going to have to do alone. Now, we're going to get you ready. You do what I tell you, when I tell you to do it, and how I tell you to do it, you got a good chance of passing this exam. But it ain't no joke. It's gonna be the real deal. Because I'm gonna tell Grandmaster Buell when I see him, I'm gonna tell him, say, hey, listen, I've done the best I can do with these folks. Pass or fail, it's up to you now, sir. He's gonna run the show. On that particular year, what we did was we got everybody together, and then he ran the testing examinations. And after the testing examinations, he got all the heads of schools and chief instructors into a room by ourselves. And he says, listen, I know nobody likes surprises, so I just need to let you know up front. I'm going to run this black belt promotions for the people I think that have passed their examination. But I just need to let you know up front, all of your number ones, all your top dogs, I'm not going to promote them, just so you know that. And we looked at him in disbelief, and we're confused, and we're saying, well, how come? And he just says, they're just not ready. And then he left the room. And then we started grumbling. We started complaining as a group. We started thinking, oh, maybe Grandmaster Buell's going crazy. Maybe he's going senile. And so I, in my infinite wisdom, I spoke up, and I says, you know what, I'm going to go talk to him. And they all looked at me and says, yeah, you need to go talk to him. So I got Grandmaster Buell into a room, and it's just he and I said, sir, I mean no disrespect, but I got to tell you, I think you're wrong on who you're going to pass and who you're going to fail on this black belt testing go-round. And I'm not the only one that thinks that way. All the head of schools believe the same way. And they said, really? I said, yes, sir, really. He says, a big smile came on his face, and he says, well, let's find out, shall we? And so he got all the head of schools back into the room with him and I, and he says, Garland thinks I'm wrong on who I'm going to pass and who I'm going to fail on this go-round. And he says a lot of you feel the same way. Now, I need to know who you are. All the ones that believe the same way Garland does, I need you to step 1 foot forward. And folks, I got to tell you, not a one of them stepped forward. They left me there hanging. And I looked at them in disbelief, and I looked at Grandmaster Buell, and I looked back at them and gave them, as my daughter says, the stare of death. And I said, okay, Grandmaster Buell, lesson well learned. I can only speak for myself. But in speaking for myself, I mean no disrespect, but I still think you're wrong, and I got to stick to my guns. Then he says, okay. And then he left the room. And he ran the promotions, and he promoted all the brown belts to student black and student black belts to first degree. And then to our surprise, all those people he said he was going to fail, he ended up promoting them as well. Well, now we are totally bumfounded, and we are totally confused. And so after all the pictures and the kisses and the hugs and the tears, and everybody dispersed and went on home, he got us all back in the room, all the heads of schools, and he says, look, I was testing your people. But at the same time, I was testing each one of you to see which one would have the courage to come talk to me if I made a bad decision. Now, because of Garland's courage, all your people got promoted. But oh, by the way, all of you failed miserably. Now, on the outside, folks, I was very stoic. That means I didn't move around at all. But on the inside, I was doing my happy dance because I learned some powerful lessons that night. And the first lesson I learned, of course, was I can only speak for myself. The second lesson I learned that is more powerful is you never get in trouble for telling the truth. Now, again, what I've learned is, what I'm sharing with you now is talk from the heart, tell the truth, and you can never go wrong. So with that said, have a wonderful night. All the best to your family, and I'll be back to you real soon. She went on to explain, life is made up of choices. You made a bad choice tonight. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland. And today we're going to be talking about fundamental natural law number 2, which is anything you break can always be fixed. So let me tell you a quick story about the lamp. I remember as a young teenager, Bruce Lee just came out with a brand new movie called Enter the Dragon. Now, we didn't have any money for karate lessons, me and my buddies, so what we did was we got an 1.5-inch hickory dowel along with 4 inches of chain and 2 eye bolts, and we created our own and just taped it up with black electrical tape. They were really good, heavy as all get out, but very good. And I remember one night I was in the living room practicing with my newly made nunchaku, and nobody was home, and I accidentally hit my mother's favorite lamp. And I broke it into like 7 pieces. And I said, oh crap, I'm in trouble. So I gathered up all the broken pieces and headed to the kitchen. Broke out the Elmer's glue and started gluing that thing back together. And it took me about an hour, and I was admiring my work as I set that lamp back in its original position, plugged it in, and was backing up, and just in time because my mom come walking in. First thing, when she walked in, she flipped the light switch on, which was connected to the wall socket, which was connected to the lamp. And the lamp didn't light up. And then I said, oh no, I forgot to change the light bulb. And under closer examination, she looked at me and says, what happened to my lamp? And I immediately said, I don't know. As she looks closer, she's able to see the glue lines, and I knew I was busted. She set me down and then explained, says, I'm upset. I'm not angry, but I'm disappointed. I wish you would have told me the truth when you had a chance. As you know, this is my favorite lamp. And truth be known, I've broken this lamp twice myself. Son, anything you break can always be fixed. If you'd have told me the truth, I could show you how to put this back together without any glue lines. She went on to explain, life is made up of choices. You made a bad choice tonight. The lamp can be fixed in one evening. However, a lie will take much longer to repair. Don't lie to me, son. What I should have done, as soon as she walked in the room, I should have said, Mom, just so you know, I broke your favorite lamp. I glued it back together and it looks much nicer, don't you think? However, because I didn't do that, I got 2 days restriction for breaking her lamp, but then I got 2 weeks restriction for not telling her the truth. Bottom line is, anything we break can always be fixed, folks, and it's easy to fix the material things. Let's try not to break the important stuff like the trust that people have in us, because that takes much longer to repair. So let's try to remember natural law number 2. Anything we break can always be fixed. Have a wonderful night. All the best to your family, and we'll be back to you real soon. Well, folks, he was beside himself. He didn't know what to do. He had never gotten a B in his entire life. He was totally devastated. He was truly convinced in his mind that his parents would stop loving him because he got less than an A. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland. We're going to go into fundamental natural law number 3 tonight. And here comes Thor. Come on in, pup. How you doing? Okay. Thor is not happy unless he's sitting on my feet, just so you know. Okay, so I just need you to stay quiet and we'll get this party started, okay? Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland. And this morning we're going to go into fundamental natural law number 3, which is there's nothing you can do to stop your family from loving you. So let me tell you a quick story about the straight A student. There was once a young man that got nothing but straight A's on his report card all the way from kindergarten to his senior year in high school. As a matter of fact, his parents would introduce him to other adults by saying, "Let me introduce you to my straight A son. He has got nothing but A's ever since kindergarten. Isn't that right, son? We're so proud of him." Now, because he was so intelligent, he decided to take an advanced college calculus course in his senior year, and he received a B of all things. Well, folks, he was beside himself. He didn't know what to do. He had never gotten a B in his entire life. He was totally devastated. He was truly convinced in his mind that his parents would stop loving him because he got less than an A. On that fateful night, instead of showing his parents his report card, he decided to take his own life. He truly thought that his parents would be so disappointed with him that they would stop loving him because he got less than an A on his report card. He didn't know the natural law that states there's nothing you can do to stop your family from loving you. What a tragedy. Now, do you think if he would have shown his parents a report card with less than an A on it, that they would be disappointed? Of course they would be. But they would never stop loving him because he got a B instead of an A. Let's all learn from this tragic mistake and never forget natural law number 3, which states there's nothing you can do to stop your parents from loving you. And let's make sure our kids know that as well. Have a wonderful night. All the best to your family, and we'll be back to you real soon. So he took those matches out back, poured some of the gasoline onto the sidewalk and tried to light the sidewalk on fire. It didn't light. He poured some more of the gasoline onto the grass, tried to light the grass on fire. No joy there either. And then he looked down at the gasoline. There's a little bit left, and it was down in the bottom. And he thought to himself, if he lights this match and drops it down in there and hits that gasoline that's on the bottom, it'll light on fire and swirl around down there and look really cool. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and we're going to be going into fundamental natural law number 4, which is if you lie, it will always lead to pain. So let me tell you a quick story. It's about the lie. There was once a young boy. He was spending his summer much like many 9-year-olds did, but he was very involved in an important project. On that particular day, he decided to break his own world record of finding 32 horned toads in one day. Now, what a horned toad is about big round as my hand. They're flat. They run really fast. They got horns on their head and back. They bite, but it don't hurt much. Now, coming back to the mission for a moment, there was plenty of those horned toads in the 5 acres. It was his backyard. Now, he was up to 27 when he stumbled across something else. He found a 5-gallon old metal gas can that was missing the lid. An idea came into his mind as he looked at that gas can. So he abandoned his search for horned toads with that gas can in tow, headed back to the house. Went in through the kitchen door, which is the back door, and was fumbling around through the drawers. Now, his mom was in the other room. So there was a wall between. She couldn't see him, but she could hear him. She says, "What are you doing?" The boy said nothing, and that was big mistake number 1. Because what he was doing was he was searching for some matches, and he found some. So he took those matches out back, poured some of the gasoline onto the sidewalk and tried to light the sidewalk on fire. It didn't light. He poured some more of the gasoline onto the grass, tried to light the grass on fire. No joy there either. And then he looked down at the gasoline. There's a little bit left, and it was down in the bottom. And he thought to himself, if he lights this match and drops it down in there and hits that gasoline that's on the bottom, it'll light on fire and swirl around down there and look really cool. So that's what he decided to do. So he lit the match, went to lean over and drop it in, and boom! Just that fast, a ball of flame blew up right in his face. Torched the whole right side of his face, burned his hand real bad as well, would have put his eye out, but He had glasses on, so it just melted his glasses. Well, that was big mistake number 2. Now, big mistake number 2 just beat the tar out of big mistake number 1. And he screamed as loud as he could. Mom come running out the back door. Her heart just sank when she seen her baby's face was all burned up. Well, she loaded up all the kids in the station wagon. They headed to the hospital, but then realized they ain't got no money. So they headed over where Dad works, got the check early, and headed to the bank to get it cashed. Took 3 hours before the boy finally got medical attention. As soon as he came in, they brought him in right away. The doctor took him into the examination room. Mom waited outside with the kids. Well, after a while, the doctor came out of the examination room and says, I got good news and I got bad news. What you want to hear first? Mom says, well, tell me the good news. Well, the good news is I've medicated your son. He's no longer in pain. What's the bad news then? Well, the bad news is he's burned very severely on the right side of his face, and he's going to be scarred for life. He's probably going to lose the use of his right hand as well, and you got to decide what you want to do about his education, because it's going to take about 24 to 27 months for those wounds to heal. Well, that was a pretty somber trip back home. After that, the fire marshal came over to dispose of that gas can, and he looked at it, it blown up into like a ball, and he says, bring me your son. So they went ahead, and Mom brought the boy out and says, son, you see that can? You were lucky. You were dumb, but you were lucky. See, what you don't understand, boy, is that it's not the liquid gasoline that burns, but it's the fumes or the smell of gasoline that burns. Now, you had a little bit of liquid in that can, but you had 5 gallons of fumes, and that's what exploded into your face. Now, you see how it's all rounded up? In most cases, that can would have exploded. In this case, it stayed intact, lucky for you. Okay, but if it had have exploded, not only would you have been burned from head to toe, but you'd been cut from head to toe as well because of the metal shrapnel coming off that can. So I say again, you were lucky. Okay, you were dumb, but you were lucky. In the future, son, don't ever mix matches with gasoline. It will never work out well for you. The boy nodded his head and says, yeah, I understand. You know how you skin your knee and it scabs over? The whole right side of his face was scabbed over, so was his hand as well. But over time, as the scabs peeled away and flaked off, they say it was a miracle because there was no scar tissue underneath on his face. And through time and perseverance, he did get the use of his right hand back as well. Now, I did miss a whole year of school, got set back a year because it did take a while for those wounds to heal. The question begs to be asked is that a true story? And the answer is yes. Every painful moment of that is a true story because, in fact, that young boy was me. The only residual effects I got of this is that this side of my hairline is a little bit higher than this side over here. And when it gets cold outside, I can feel it on the right side of my face and on my right hand before I feel it anyplace else because the nerves are closer to the surface of the skin because of the burn. But the reason I'm telling the story is that I made a couple of stupid mistakes that day. I wished that when I had the chance, I would have told my mom the truth. If I'd have told my mom the truth, then that would have saved me a whole world of pain. That'll save me a whole year of school. The moral of the story here is if you lie, it will always lead to pain. So that kind of brings us up to speed on fundamental natural law number 4, which is if you lie, it will lead to pain. So all the best to your family. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back to you real soon.